Hi, Michael.
Hi, Em.
We're back with your Broncos jersey.
It's a fantastic couple of days leading up to the Premier Final. Hopefully we beat the Warriors on Saturday night, and then we all beat whoever in the grand final the following week. So,
And then we're into cricket season.
and the problem is?
Nothing. Before we introduce our next guest, we would just like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we record our podcast episode, the Turrbal and Yagara people, and pay our respects to the traditional owners, both past, present, and emerging. So in this podcast episode, we were extremely excited to chat to Matt Bourne, and he is the CEO of Roberts Co., a construction company based down south. And we interviewed him a little bit differently over Teams.
We did. That was a challenge, wasn't it?
There was a lot of chords going on in the background, but it was very worth it. It was very cool to hear. So Matt stepped into his role in February this year, and we spoke about what Roberts Co. are doing at the moment, the initiatives they're taking and the space that they're building in, and what he's seeing as the current trends in the construction industry at the moment.
It's really interesting to get his perspective because they're not based or don't operate in Queensland, so they essentially operate in New South Wales and Victoria, I think maybe a bit of Western Australia. Yeah. So it was interesting to get the perspective of other states, what's going on in other states. A company which has led a lot of great conversation down in New South Wales about the need for the industry to be far better when it comes to culture, looking after its workforce, diversity, things like that.
It was a great chat, and he was awesome to talk to. So we hope that you enjoy.
Thanks.
Hello, Michael and Matt. Thank you for coming on our podcast, Matt. It's so exciting to have you here and have you be so willing to join us. So we always start our podcast episodes by asking our guests to just tell us who they are and what they do. You're Matt, CEO of Roberts & Co. What do you do?
Well, thank you very much for having me, and pleasure to be here. So I'm Chief Executive Officer of Roberts Co. So I've been in the construction industry since I was probably 17 or 18, really, and took basically some time off. I started working, then actually had to take some time off to finish my high school certificate in year 12 and go back to work again. So I've been in since a young age, and even sort of I was 15 or 16, lots of labouring for where my mother worked in building companies and things like that. So it's a bit in my blood, so to speak, for it being a long time. But I was with another firm for about 25 years in Sydney, born and bred family building company, well, not my family, but a large family building company operating for over 100 years. And so really brought up on a really, really good way of dealing with people and getting things done right, built on trust, good relationships, and really taught the right way, which was a real blessing, and I'm forever thankful for that. Then I decided to make a move. The time was just right. It was 2017, 2018. I moved across to John Holland to help restart building within the large infrastructure company, and we were successful in that and restarted building with a number of people. And I was looking after New South Wales, and we managed to turn around that business unit, and it's still running very well. So lots of great company, lots of good relations, and still have there at John Holland. But then obviously an opportunity came knocking last year to look at coming across to Roberts Co. It's quite an interesting story how it happened, actually. But Alison Mera's our current executive chair and former CEO, quite aligned culturally and where things should be. And I'm sure we'll talk about lots of that with the industry and so forth. But the opportunity was just too good to pass up, to come along and sort of lead Roberts sort of out of the startup phase into a growth phase and looking ahead into the future, which with a 100% Australian shareholder was pretty exciting in a dynamic company. So there's a brief overview about sort of my career journey so far. And apart from that, I love my family life. I love my weekends. I love getting home. I've got a few acres an hour out of Sydney, so I don't live in the city or anything like that. And got 3 beautiful boys and beautiful wife and 2 beautiful dogs that sometimes eat chickens and things like that. That we've got to rein in. But that's the fun stuff. So chase some llamas around and things like that. But that's me. So.
Oh, that's a wonderful description. So you're a lifetimer in construction industry. What do you love the most? What makes you passionate about working in construction?
Yeah, it's a really hard question sometimes, and people don't realise why they do what they do. About 4 or 5 years ago, I think I got to a stage in my career when I was when I left Edwards and moved on, and I really had to think hard as to what makes me tick, what makes you what makes you get up in the morning, and so I went back and someone said, look, go back your whole career and think about the most enjoyable time you've had and what happened then and what occurred. And there's actually one project in Sydney where it was a big project, lots of pressure. We're in the media, we made the front page of the papers once, all sorts of things were going on. But it was a really, the project was going well, just lots of external pressure and in the spotlight. But out of that project, I had about sort of 3 or 4 sort of 2 ICs on the project, and they all sort of grew up in that project and went onwards to become project managers themselves, moving on outside of that, and they've gone on and made their own careers. And it sounds a bit corny, but that's, really growing those people around me. It's really what gets me going, and so I'm really looking forward. I'm starting to do that here now at Roberts with some key placements and looking to grow some people and work with them. And really, it really keeps me going, and I really enjoy that. So it's a really, really good part of the job. Yeah.
That's really nice. It's important to have, as being someone starting out, it's nice to hear, and it's so important to have people that you work for who do really value putting their time back into your own professional and personal growth in the company. Rather, things can get super busy, but if that's a priority that always stays on the plate, it can make a real difference.
Do you like jumping on site and getting your hands dirty, or are you allowed to do that, or they sort of say you don't involve yourself in that sort of stuff? That's our go.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm not allowed to get hands dirty at the moment. Even at home, I try and do something and people just look at me. You're an office guy. You're not a builder. I say, come on, I can use it. No, I can use this. Sometimes it goes well, but I'm not too bad. So at home, but. Interesting, but look at on site. Look, I was brought up on projects. I still remember. I still get up early in the morning. I get up at 4:35. I'm an early. My best time is the morning. I'm not a late night person at all, and that's all from being on site. When I first started down in Wollongong, I was on site, and it's just the best start I could have ever had with Edwards. There's a large temple down there called the Namtian Su Buddhist Temple, still there, just south of Wollongong. And I remember getting on site, and I think the smoker truck used to come around at 9 o'clock, and to get wow, you can get donuts at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I was an 18-year-old there, thought this is great. But then I'd fall asleep because I was so tired for getting up in the morning. My eyes would close over. But after a few months, I got used to it, and that's been there forever now. So I think on site, it's great. I mean, it's hard to book it in now, I've got to be honest. But getting around now. In the role now, I try and really be hard on my diary, and I've just actually changed it in the last few weeks to make sure at least once every 2 weeks I can get to a project. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm out at a project actually tomorrow morning to Sydney Olympic Park High School, which is one of our the pilot project with a 5-day week, and so I'm really excited to get out there and just be me. I mean, people sort of treat you a little bit differently and have a path where you need to walk and all that sort of stuff. But it's, I used to do the same when my boss used to come out on site. Right, where are we going to take him or her? What are we going to do? But it's just me, and it's good to, I still know a lot of contractors, and some of them still come up and give you a hug. Hey, matey, how are you? And it's just good to have a chat. So yeah, I really
Yeah.
enjoy that. That's a really good part of it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And so what kind of space do Roberts Co. play in construction? What kind of projects? Roberts Co. is in New South Wales and down in Victoria. What kind of projects do you like to build?
Yeah, no, look, we've actually undergone a pretty major change in the last really probably 16 months. So Roberts Co. started 6 years young, started, in Sydney, in New South Wales, commercial health, schools and government work. So, call it sort of social infrastructure and, positive construction, but what I like to call it. So leaving a good legacy. So Roberts Co. really, got ourselves well embedded there, and we still have a number of projects in New South Wales now. We've actually just been awarded another health project and another schools project, so really great relations and runs on the board there in New South Wales. And now, obviously, with the settling in of our Melbourne acquisition from last year, it's now sort of 16 months in and well settled, and we've got a number of skill sets that we're able to transfer up and down the eastern seaboard. So we are actively looking into residential, large scale industrial, and so forth, and potentially some data center work and so forth on a larger scale as well. So, because of our Melbourne skill set, which came with our acquisition down there last year, which is well settled now, really positive story. We're building 57 4 towers with build to rent, build to sell, service departments, and there's really a great set of skills down there that we're transferring around, and we're really starting to lever off each other as a national business now, which is fantastic. So we've also set up, and what came with the acquisition that came across is one of our brands, Monaco Hiki, which is a pharmaceutical and sort of vaccine specialist, and also build, with and sort of in that smaller scale space. We've just finished the CSL headquarters down there in Victoria, which is a large sort of commercial building headquarters for CSL with all sorts of pharmaceutical and so forth specialties, which I can't go into, that are inbuilt into that building. And Monaco he played a key role in that. But now, actually, typical Roberts Co style, I undertook another acquisition about 3 months ago, which is a company that did go under in New South Wales and Victoria. We acquired some of their Victorian projects, number of sort of schools on that 5, 10, 15, $25 million range. So we've now got the Monaco Hiki set up with their own sort of, $50 or $60 million worth of work in their own right and running as a business unit, which is fully owned by Roberts Co as well. So we're quite diverse, so business units in New South Wales, and restructured a little bit in the last 5 months. Just very flatline structure. We don't have layers of management. We're agile. We're going to remain agile, and operate at the moment in New South Wales, Victoria. And also in the Monaco Hiki is our business unit as well, but potentially looking at going across the West Coast at some time for the right opportunity. The Roberts family is always home in Perth, and that's the home of the Roberts family. So we may end up there one day, but for the right opportunity. So one step at a time. Yeah.
That's a lot happening.
Yeah. Busy.
Yeah, busy. One thing about Roberts Co that's that stands out is I love the news updates and the openness of what's happening in the company on the website. And one thing that also shines through are the values of the company on the website and what Roberts Co stands for, and how Roberts Co are kind of showing how they're walking the talk and putting their people first. One of the ways that you're paving the way for change is that 5-day work week on your projects. So the research by University of New South Wales actually looked at the success in the Monday to Friday work week on the Concord Hospital redevelopment. What did you see as the benefits for that, and why is the 5-day work week so important to the company?
Yeah, it's critical, not just to the company, for the industry, and personally as well. So, full credit to Alison Morris, our executive chair and previous CEO, who were very close and led the change, through the industry, and has done and continues to do a fantastic, job in that role and leading that change and moving us forward. And I make no secret that when I was at John Holland, I was just decided to be second to market with the 5. We were never going to beat Roberts Co as a competitor, to lead the way. But it was the values that I saw and the leading and what Alison was leading. We did get John Holland across the line, and they've now got projects on the 5-day week as well, which is really good cultural alignment. And to move a sort of a larger company like that around was great support from the executive there. So I continue to be thankful for them. So the 5-day week is embedded in me, and really what it's trying to achieve, I think. So, and we can probably talk for hours about, productivity in this industry and burnouts and stress and everything. And the ACA has just released a really good report on productivity, which I'm reading through at the moment, and we're quite interested in. So the 5-day week, started on with Health Infrastructure, and Roberts Co on the Concord Hospital. Now, very progressive New South Wales Health Infrastructure, have that as a mandatory option in all their bids going forward. So quite a progressive government agency to lead the way, and the industry did need that. They sort of, you do want markets and industry to lead, but you need some government input to help mandate some things sometimes and pave the way. So the benefits, that I've seen on that, that was an early phase of the project. There was lots of opposition, which we could talk about, and lots of people sort of naysaying and all sorts of things. And I think I'll put my hand up to say, is it perfect at the moment? Probably not perfect, but at the very least, it's making a change, it's making a difference. And from what I've seen, and what I've even witnessed here is that the weekends are quieter. So even for the office staff and consulting staff, so the email traffic is lower. I've had less calls, and look, I work pretty hard. It's my job, and that's what I get paid to do. So, but the office calls are less, and so the knock-on effect is huge. And from what we've seen, the feedback we've had is, the regularity of the 2-day break. So it's not just like a 5-day shift that changes in days, and you might get 1 day, then 2 days, and things like that. It's a regularity of having 2 set days enables families to plan. It enables families, if they have other work and other jobs, or the partner or other family members need to work and they need to look after kids, they can do that. You need more than 1 day to rest. It's a tough industry. So the full resting of 2 days. I've seen the safety statistics quite low in comparison on projects that aren't 5 days. And then, if there is work that has to happen, it's done with full consultation with, key stakeholders and so forth, but it's specific work. It might be high risk work that's quite specific, that's actually productive, that happens, like a tower crane up or down, or a jump form or something like that actually makes sense to do it when there's no one else, on site. And so the benefits, on the project, I believe it's the same program. I don't believe it takes longer. I've undertaken, a lot of research into programming and metrics about the people that say it takes longer. I just think we're completely, there's so much sort of low-hanging fruit with productivity to pick that we need to get better at. As an industry, that there's efficiencies to be made, that we should be better at the 5 days. Working doesn't have to be 10 hours. Even I think if you work 9 hours Monday to Thursday and even do an 8-hour Saturday, it's the same program. Sorry, 8-hour Friday. Sorry. So it's only an extra 4 hours per week. You end up getting the same program effect as a Monday to Saturday, and it is less cost. It's less stress, and Saturdays are just a write off. I mean, I grew up. We'd go have a smoke at 10, would last an hour. And what's the point of being there? And everyone's on double time, and you just come in because you have to, and everyone's getting paid, and everyone leaves at 2. So it's sort of not much point, and then you miss everything. So I just don't see the point, unless there's a specific task that needs to be undertaken.
I remember some of my mates, literally rolling into work when they're on the sites on a Saturday morning after a huge Friday night, and it's, you can't deny what the productivity would have been. It would have been horrendous. The only thing they would have done would turn up and try to do as least as possible because they just would. It's just, and that was the reality of those. The other thing too is I've just finished reading a McKinsey report on. It's interesting. There's pushback on 7 days to 5 days, but there's a whole worldwide movement now going to 4-day working weeks.
I'm very interested to look at that. Yeah.
But for heaven's sake, guys, read the tea leaves. Read the room. It's like I know where we're heading. We're heading for shorter inverted commas working days, but no one's arguing that there's got to be more productivity. No one's arguing that that shouldn't happen. But it's
and I suppose, and if people the naysayers around, well, what are they presenting to solve the problem? What are they presenting to solve productivity issues and solve safety issues and wellness and stress and burnout and safety? Where's their options? There's no other options apart from some sort of, I'll get on the soapbox a little bit here, but apart from the naysayers sort of putting things down. So and you talk about safety incidents. I can tell you the large majority of major safety incidents I've seen or witnessed or been in the company where they've occurred have been on a Saturday. Absolutely, a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning, when exactly what you said is people go out the night before. Their wellness on the Saturday morning's not the best. And they go off for an hour break, like I was saying, and come back and really interested just getting out of there and rushing up. And, the supervisor might leave a bit early and leave a junior there for an hour. And that's when something happens. And there's a change. And very, most often when there's a change in supervision or it's a rush or something like that, that's when the major incidents occur. So we've actually seen less incidents as a result. So I'm really looking forward to diving into more data and studies to show how we can continue to we can work with the industry bodies, subcontractors, clients to continue to improve it. We've got all our projects in New South Wales are on a 5-day week now. We will only bid on a 5-day. There is high risk work and sometimes shutdowns you need to do on the weekend, but we'll be open about that. And we work with stakeholders to make that happen. But Sydney Olympic Park High School, we have running now, it's a pilot project with the Culture and Construction Industry Task Force. And they've also got one of the John Holland projects, which I've got across on a 5-day week in that as well at Randwick Hospital, which is a number of other projects as well in the pilot project. And they're doing another round of study and really a deep research and insights, and I'm really looking forward to that coming out and being released when it's finished. But interviewing all the workers a number of times and really diving into the benefits and challenges that people see, so we can continue to evolve and improve and get people on board, because there's still some challenges there, especially in New South Wales.
Can I just clarify? So when those government projects, in terms of the tenders, it's mandated that there's got to be 5-day. It's got to be a 5-day option and a 7-day option in terms of tendering. Is that right?
Well, it's only health infrastructure now that do that. So you'll submit a tender, and they don't specify, but then they'll ask for a mandatory option for a 5-day working week.
Oh, okay.
So now, obviously, when we submit a mandatory option, it's same program, same price. We don't add money for it. We don't add time for it. That's what we're going on anyway. And that's what we did at John Holland as well. So I don't believe it costs any more or anything, but there's some, I haven't seen it, but I've heard some builders adding money and time and things like that to certain projects, but I haven't seen what they've done, but I have heard that's the case. So it's interesting, and some government authorities, it's not everywhere. It's only some, and they're able to do it in New South Wales because the EBA has an option to do that, which works with the calendar. So the union's been quite obviously progressive to do that, which is fantastic, and that's across all unions. So Victoria is not quite there yet, but they've got a round of negotiations coming up now. So we're hoping there's an option and a step forward, positive step forward, but they've been quite open to discussions. And we've got some projects down there that have moved voluntarily to a 5-day roster. So not quite the 2 days off, but at least working with what they can do within that time frame to make sure people have the rest. And we, I believe over in WA, the new EBA coming out has a 5-day option as well. So it's certainly gaining momentum. It's people getting on board. We're seeing where it needs to go, and I'd love to start talking about a 4-day sometime soon and what that can do. Haven't quite got there yet. It's interesting. It's just so important. There's just so many. it just needs to change. There's on construction sites. I remember walking on a site about a year ago, and I was just looking at some form workers' work and just watching, what they're doing. I thought, I bet that has not changed in 50 years. I bet it's the same process, same everything. They've just worked the same hours. Probably productivity's probably dropped. And it's just the same. I thought, we don't have to. We can probably talk for hours about it, but how productivity in construction innovation is so low and hasn't changed. So it's time. It's got to move, and this is the 5-day week is a key part of our DNA and will always be there.
What will help you is, and I've heard you pick up the reference to John Holland. The more companies that play in this space, the better it becomes, not just for the industry in terms of a deep and reliable ability to do research, but it also takes the single focus of one company driving. I think that's important. The more friends you get, if I'm making sense, it spreads that sort of the messaging. But it also means that obviously more projects being done on 5-day weeks, and you can do greater analysis. And it's just like so important that other majors start, I think, playing in this space.
Yeah, absolutely, and also subcontractors as well, right? So some of the feedback is. They might work the 5-day on one of our projects, but then get sent to a Saturday job somewhere else, and then have to come back. And so that is some of the feedback that's come through. So how do we work with that? How do we challenge that? Do they, there's a bit of piece of work there. So I don't think it's, if we're on a project, every subcontractor, works on that job, and they might be sent to other ones. So there's some challenges around, and that's when you don't have the all projects, which you probably never will with the private industry and the private world, around, and lots of, especially in the housing market and so forth, not working the 5 days. So there is a few challenges there. But one thing I heard from someone, it was only a month or two ago. Oh, Matt, you can't do a 5-day because, you've got steel fixers on your job and they need to drive home to Wollongong. And so if they work till 5, they drive home too late. I said, okay, well, let's have a look at their roster. Let's change what they're doing, and let's see if we can come up with an answer for it rather than just dissing the whole thing because of that reason. It's just trying to find an answer not to do it. Then, okay, fair enough. Okay, people still don't want to drive home too late. Yeah, absolutely, it's an issue. Let's have a look at their roster. Let's have a look at the design of the building, how much reinforcement's in there, the trades, and let's get smarter at how we build and what we do and our productivity, and see if we can work with that. Let's get better at scheduling the job.
The other side of that is that if you don't do 5 days a week, that person's going to have to travel in on a Saturday morning from Wollongong. So it's like,
and it's a full day, So and it's exactly right. So I just don't buy a lot of that. I absolutely agree. Yeah, we need to do more research. We need to get more on board. We need to continue to push hard, and we're all about building a better way. And this is a key part of that, and we'll always be there. But it's it can't go back to where it was. It just can't. So it's economical. In the fact that we need to, attract talent to our industry, and we're simply not going to compete for top talent if we don't do that anyway. So it actually makes economic sense rather than just doing the right thing for people first and foremost, and putting people first. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about those little changes. Well, hopefully, with the drive that you're pushing forward, it'll just become the norm down in New South Wales and down south, because I was supposed to intro this and I forgot it when I introduced the topic, but in Queensland, in government contracts particularly, the 5-day working week has become the norm. So hopefully it just spreads everywhere, and in the future it isn't even a topic.
And that's one of the things that I've out of this discussion and preparing for this discussion, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to start pushing and asking people, where's the research in Queensland? If there's been many dozens, if not hundreds, of projects done on a 5-day working week, then why aren't we doing research in respect of that to help the industry broadly? So I couldn't find any research. So anyway, I'll continue.
Yeah, that'd be very good to see that. Yeah, if that exists, absolutely.
Yeah. On top of the 5-day work week, are there any other kind of key social awareness priorities that Roberts Co hold close?
Yeah, there's a number of them actually. So look, even our standard employment agreement for all our employees, and I love this. I've taken my days, we have wellbeing days in our company, one per quarter. You've got to use it or lose it. So we force everyone, we remind everyone about it. I can tell you, before I started, I booked all mine for the year. Managed to get a game of golf in the other week with some contacts, actually some that I grew up with and hadn't seen for a long time. And so that's you've got to lead that and take that by charge. So that's fantastic. We have a wellness allowance as well. To spend on the gym or whatever it might be. We actually just had a meeting yesterday to have a look at where are we for the rest of the year. What have we got on in that regard, and then start mapping out next year. And there's a few things happening this year. So actually, this Sunday, I'm running for the Sydney Children's Hospital Network, the City to Surf. So I used to do a lot of running. I'm not so in that shape anymore, but so running up to Heartbreak Hill with about 60,000 people, the 14Ks and so forth. So I'll be running with a team from Roberts Co. And we're raising money for the Sydney Children's Hospital Foundation, a key client for ours, but also really key charity support, and do amazing things for the children's network in Sydney through Randwick and Westmead. So looking forward to that on Sunday morning. So hopefully I'll survive and roll over the line at the end and have a nice drink or something.
I've done that run many times, and the way I used to think of that run was break it into 11Ks, because once you get to Dover Heights, it's 3Ks downhill. You know what I mean? So
That's good. I'll remember that.
Don't think of it as 14Ks. 11Ks to Dover Heights, and then you're right.
That's good. And on the back of that, so that's Sydney. So in Melbourne, I'll be running in the Melbourne Marathon Festival in October with the Roberts Co team from Victoria, and we're raising money for Beyond Blue down there. So really another very critical charity with wellness and so forth. So they're two key things. We're quite a supporter of the Property Industry Foundation as well. So we're actually the lead construction partner for Piff House, or Haven House, which is getting built next year, which is a home for homeless youth off the streets and so forth, which is getting built in inner Sydney. And so we'll be managing the contract. We're at the moment involved with the design. Design's moving ahead. We're hoping to start construction next year. So we'll be providing resources to oversee that. And we're looking for all sorts of support from suppliers and subcontractors to really reduce the cost of that for the charity, for Property Industry Foundation. So that's really important for us, and full credit to Alison for agreeing that, which was in the CEO role prior to me. And so we've now got a team involved and working with the Property Industry Foundation for that. But so there's a few other things we're looking at for the rest of the year, but they're probably the major ones that we've got running, and we'll always be quite close with certain industry social bodies such as PIF and so forth moving forward.
That I didn't haven't seen that PIF house. That's quite incredible. That's a great initiative by Roberts Co.
No, it's fantastic, and I actually knew about it before I came across, but now I'm actually get involved with it. So like the job itself is probably $5 or $6 million, but we're really trying to reduce that cost down. So for PIF and with support, so we're actively seeking supporters in that at the moment, and that'll gear up a few notches over the next few months. And now we've got a team that we're providing to help manage the process, and we'll be the lead construction partner to deliver the project for them. So so really exciting. And it's really, that's a good stuff. That's good stuff, right? It's really fun, and it's enjoyable, and we've got no shortage of people wanting to be involved with our company on that project, which is good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great recognition of what the industry can do and why the industry is so important. The industry gets bad raps many times, particularly at the moment. Well, insolvency is an issue, but obviously there's some high-profile stuff happening in New South Wales when it comes to some significant building issues. But it's like the media obviously always will focus, understandably, on the the bad news and everything like that. But the industry does. There's tremendous contractors who do a whole lot of fantastic work silently behind the scenes, and whilst they get recognised, they don't get the industry doesn't generally get recognised enough for what it does in this space.
No, that's right. And there's lots of great companies, great supporters out there. It's not just us. There's so many people out there. When you see the list of, I'd love to put a big ad up now and list all the people that have already donated. There's a lot. There's over 50 or so, different companies and suppliers, and paint suppliers, tile suppliers, and door hardware. And so but we're going to obviously keep pushing that to see how much we can get. But it's really good to see.
Well, we talked at the start about all the activity that Roberts Co are doing, and the multiple projects that there are on the go, and there's lots of action. Do you have generally a bit of an update on what's happening down south in Victoria?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I'm actually down in Sydney at the moment. I'm down in Victoria all next week. We'll get out a few projects for the team. So Victoria's going excellent. So we've now, the business, just to put the sort of context around, the business has gone from, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, maybe revenue of sort of 200 to 300 in Sydney. We've just closed our accounts for FY23, just shy of 600 million, but we've already banked and secured $900 million of work for FY24. So you can see there's a massive growth. It's not, we haven't gone a scattergun and gone and won 500 projects or anything like that. It's been through smart, organic, carefully considered, and some acquisitions, obviously with last year in Vic with ProBuild, but now they're well settled as Roberts Co, and also the Monaco Hickey, which I talked about before, growing in Melbourne as well. So down in Melbourne now, fantastic team. Number of the projects that have come across to us have just completed. So I finished the CSL headquarters. We're about to finish just this week at practical completion for a large, 50+ story residential development in the middle of Melbourne, and also, we're kicking off some build to rent project at the moment in Footscray. Some apartments in North Melbourne. We're also on the cusp of signing quite a large contract, which we'll hopefully announce in the next few weeks, which is around the $500 million mark for a new project in Melbourne. So really exciting, fantastic work by the Melbourne team, and they're great builders, great culture down there. And what's really good, we've placed a new state director down there, Andrew LaRocca, who's long term, come up through the ProBuild ranks. So really fantastic leader. So we put him in the hot seat down there now, and it's really good to see where they're getting. We're getting lots of people wanting to join us down there. So we're actively looking for people, just to put the shout out there. So we're in Sydney and in Melbourne. So we're actively on the hunt, which is a really good position to be in. Really looking for some high performing, diverse staff, diverse in gender and thinking and background and everything we're looking to get into the business. But they're settled now. We've had a few really good placements. It's really good to see some key appointments that'll be starting even in the next few weeks down there, which we're quite excited about. So they've they're quite busy. There's lots of bids coming in. We get lots of phone calls. I've got quite amazed how many phone calls we get for people wanting to partner with us on projects, and we're really looking to partner early. We're probably talk another session about risk and everything like that and where the market's gone, but we're really looking to move out of hard dollar tendering as much as we can and look for early partnerships and where we can provide value, and really providing value to a client so they can see the benefit they get by working. It's not just us, but other builders doing the same, and that's starting to work and gain traction, which is really good to see. And now what we're seeing in Melbourne is a lot of the clients down there are speaking to us about, well, we want to enter Sydney. Can we talk to you about working with you up there? Absolutely. Let's have a talk. And we're working with a few at the moment. And then also, like I was alluding to earlier, like a lot of our health skill sets and work on schools and so forth, and government work is now transferring to Melbourne at the moment. So, so we've got some exciting prospects coming up, and we'll look to, it's all about, you're not shy in saying we're looking for, good projects, have profit in them, because they need to be economically viable. But if we do that and approach it right, we can do all the good things that we want to do. So we're not really chasing revenue while it's gone up. We don't need to chase it. We're really just looking for the right projects now to go forward.
If there's one common theme that's come through all our sort of podcasts today, and we've dealt with significant sort of players like yourself and Hutchies and out in Queensland, and key policy people in key industry associations. Our last one was a significant non-bank lender. If there's subbies, if there's one common theme, it's like collaboration and early engagement by everybody it's got to be the way to go forward if you want to build a sustainable industry. It's like and it's not rocket science, but it's amazing to hear consistently. I've never heard such a consistent sort of common position that this is key to everything. Early engagement by everybody. Everybody has a piece of it. And then collaboration, sensible collaboration to work through all the wrinkles that are going to occur. The ups and downs are going to occur.
Yeah, and that's spot on, Michael. Like that, your analogy, it's not rocket science. I've actually said that a few times. The best run projects we've had, and full credit to when I was at John Holland, we ran, secured and ran the Allianz Stadium. And that was through some really good partnerships with Infrastructure New South Wales. There was value add early in the process. We were open, both sides were open, transparent, worked together, but we did that down the line as well with key contractors.
Yeah.
Didn't change our people on the job. It's not a hard formula, and lo and behold, the project was a success,
Surprise.
and people came out ahead. Wow, what a great outcome, and so like we're having those talks in here now about making sure we've got to do the right thing down the line as well. So that's really important. We're pushing up the line for that, but really making sure that happens. And that's not perfect all the time, but we're really making sure. That's a real focus of mine. I've closed a tender out a few days ago, and we really had a good talk. Okay, who are we going to partner with? And everyone just so a few people look at what do you mean? But now we're going to partner with these people now. Let's have a look at them. One, it makes economic sense because we're reducing our risk, and let's agree the risk profile right now. So the bids that I've seen put in the business here now is really going through the key trades and looking to partner as best we can, and you get so much more. You get so much more value. I'm talking dollars, just value in the job, and it's amazing. And it's and they're discussions we're having with clients at the moment. And I've been no shy in telling everyone I want to reduce our workbook to have less than 50% as hard dollar tendering because it's just not the future. That model, and you've probably heard that from everyone. I'm sure it's just not the future. The margins are terrible. The risk is terrible. No one wins out of it. But what can we provide as instead of just sitting there saying we don't want to do it, how can we provide an alternative option? Just like the 5-day week, let's have a look at doing something. And so we're having those active talks, and it's quite productive so far. And there's some really good options coming up, which is good to see. So yeah,
the hard tendering issue is so transparently bad that in a perverse sort of way, when we're talking with developers, they are more exposed and concerned about not doing the right thing or having some sort of sensible negotiation by switching to open book or something, to keep a builder afloat, because they know that if they've got to go back and re-tender, it's a whole worse situation themselves. So it's so perversely bad that it's opened up this conversation that we cannot. We've got to do everything we can sensibly to keep this contractor on the go. Sure, it was fixed price, and which is, like we said, it's not the way to go, but sensibly sort of facilitate some sort of changes to the contract to get the job done.
Yeah, that's right. And look, if it doesn't work, like no one wins. Like I can tell you in Victoria, we've had 3 subcontractors go under, major subcontractors on projects. And that hurts. One, it costs us millions. But all the employees and the subcontractors, suppliers. I was working on one project, and that's sort of a legacy of COVID and so forth, and the amount of work. And I was walking through one project a few months ago, and I said, okay, who's our best contractor? And they told me who it was. That's really good to see. And I think I just jinxed the project because we went to dinner that night. There was a phone call that they've gone. No heads up, major contractor, number of builders affected. So obviously, so the team's done the right thing, looked after the employees, and we've got a new contractor in there now, but no one wins out of it. We have to go through supply issues, warranty issues. How do we provide that to the client? We didn't get much love from the client upstream, I'll be honest, but we had to obviously do the right thing downstream to make sure that's in order. But it's not what we're here for, and no one's here for that. So if that doesn't, if things don't change, those things will keep happening across the board.
Oh well, to end off our great chat, where do you see yourself, and where do Roberts Co see yourself if you had a glass ball in 5 years? Where do you want to see yourself?
Yeah, no, it's timely question actually. We've just been in the middle of some strategic forecasts and so forth. And
Aren't they fun?
yeah, that's right. So now I've had my I'm out of probation now, so I'm allowed to put some strategy into the business. Just out of the 6 months. So I did actually do a live town hall the other week in person in Sydney and Melbourne, and had a few days left of probation. So I was pretty open with everyone and said, you can vote me out now, but you've only got a few days. But unfortunately, Alison and Andrew have got their phones turned off, so you can't contact them. So, but yeah, I managed to pass through, which is good. So, but yeah, so a side conversation that so where we say, look, we're looking for us to continue to build away, but to be an agile company. So we're not looking to turn into a massive red tape tier one at all. We've got some pretty big growth on the cards, but what I'm looking for is a very diverse business in geography, in sector, and in people. So if we can keep diverse, we are looking now. We're spread across New South Wales and Victoria. We're looking at the West Coast at the moment. We've got a number of different sectors where we're looking at. Some of them are national across where they can operate. And as far as people, we've talked a little bit about people, but it's not just gender diversity. It's background, it's school of thought, it's different styles of thinking and education and everything that we're looking into the business to really build a high performing team so we can continue to be profitable. The business has done fantastic to date, and last year's been a challenge for everyone. Put that aside, going forward, it's looking really positive. So in 5 years' time, or 3 to 5 years' time, we'll have further growth. We'll have further embedding in the market. We are quite entrepreneurial as a business, so you never know what we might be involved in 4 or 5 years' time. We'll see where that goes, but we're a business that the core of us is building at the moment, but we're a business, and so we're looking to build a better way, do the right thing by the industry, continue to push for change, and have some good sustainable growth along the way. So I'm not going to set revenue targets or anything like that. I'll set profit targets internally, not revenue targets.
You don't need to mention the numbers.
So we're not going to set any targets there. It's really just making sure we're diverse in everything we do, and I think that'll, from a risk point of view, an economic point of view, and people point of view, that'll keep us on track with our values. Going forward.
Oh, that's exciting. There's lots of exciting stuff in the pipeline. Thank you for joining us. It's been really great to talk to you, and also hear about how, as your website says, you are really walking the talk to be a champion of change at the company. So that was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. It's been brilliant.
No, thank you so much. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Michael. It's excellent. Thank you very much for the discussion today. That's excellent.
Thank you, Robert.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. The information we discussed today was just that, information only. It is not specific advice. If you take action following something you heard today, it is important to make sure you get professional advice about your unique situation before you proceed, whether that advice be legal, financial, accounting, medical, or other advice. Please reach out to the Helix team if you have any questions, or if there's another topic you'd like to explore. And if you know someone who might benefit from the show, remember to tell them about it or point them to our Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn.